Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. There's just a few people still waiting in the lobby, so if you can just hold for a few moments while we let everybody in. Thank you. We'll start shortly. Thank you. One more minute. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, everybody. Just one moment. We're just waiting. We have a sign language interpreter who will join us on the call. She was on earlier, but I think she's just dropped off the call, so we're just trying to get her back on. If you can just bear with us for 2 minutes. Sorry for the delay. There we go, Mel. I think Njoki's back.
Okay.
Yes, I am back. Sorry about that. I had dropped a little bit because of the network. Yes, I'm back. Hi.
No problems at all. Hi, Njoki. Lovely to see you.
Nice to see you too.
We're just setting up. There we go. Perfect. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. Good morning again, everybody, and a very, very warm welcome to our presentation about the Australia Awards Africa today. If I can just take a moment to introduce you to Njoki Chiga. Njoki's going to interpret for us today. And I also just wanted to check if we had Rebecca and David. Rebecca is one of our 2026 scholars. I'm not sure if Rebecca's on the call yet. Give me one moment. Let me just check. No, I don't think Rebecca's on. And let me just check David. I don't think David is on either. Nancy, just in the background, may I ask you just to double check with Rebecca and David? if they are able to join us. Rebecca and David have both been through the process of applying for an Australia Award scholarship, and so we thought it would be helpful for you to hear from them about their personal experiences and how they went about applying for the scholarship. So we will do that at the end of the hour. So just by way of introduction, my name is Jenny Lawton, and I'm the team leader for Australia Awards Africa. I have a few colleagues with me on the call today, and we are here to help you and to answer questions you may have. I will ask that we hold our questions to the end of the session so that we can just go through the information that we need to share with you before we, before you ask questions, because it may be that the information comes on a slide or two later. Mel, may I please ask you just to man the lobby for me? If you can just let people in while while I'm doing the presentation. Thanks very much. I'm going to share some slides now. Please just and I will talk through all of the slides. Give me 1 second. Sorry, I just need to get this. Come on. Okay, perfect. Okay, so let's talk about what are the Australia Awards. So first of all, very importantly, they are master's level scholarships for international students from selected eligible countries in Africa. We deliver these scholarships to help students grow and make an impact in their communities when they return home. Those are two very important facts that we ask you to consider as you listen to me talk today, and as you prepare your application, because this is going to be how your application will be assessed later during the process. So I'll just repeat that. The scholarships are intended to help students grow and make an impact in their communities when they return home. Now, importantly, the Australia Awards are wholly funded by the Australian government, right? And why does the Australian government fund scholarships in Africa? So first of all, to help partner countries grow and develop, very much in line with Australia's bilateral agreements with countries on the continent, to support stability and economic growth in the region, to build stronger relationships between people and organizations, and to encourage better understanding and cooperation between countries, so that students gain the skills and knowledge to make a positive difference back home and can help grow and improve the social and economic development of their country. That's two whole slides with a lot of information. But if you'll allow me to summarize, what it means is that Australia invests in individuals with the assumption that those individuals will return to their home countries and make a development contribution. So be a change agent, have a positive impact, make things for the better of their home country when they have completed their scholarship. Because this is why the Australian government funds these scholarships, I think it's very important for you to remember this and to incorporate this when you submit your application. How will I be able to demonstrate to those that we are reviewing my applications that I can have a bigger development impact than somebody else next to me that's also applying for the scholarship? Okay, before we go into the details around the eligibility, I would just like to talk a little bit about inclusion and the program Australia Awards. So GETSI, or Gender Equality, Disability and Social Inclusion, is an Australian government commitment, and it remains a key priority for the Australia Awards Africa program. We have two objectives when we talk about GETSI. The first one is to ensure that minority groups can access this scholarship and that they are supported to succeed in the scholarship. So this is from application stage all the way to the alumni stage. We have reasonable accommodations that are available to people if it is needed in order to submit an application or to participate in any stage of the cycle. And our second objective in terms of GETSI is to ensure that all of our scholars, not only those with disabilities or other minority groups, but that all of Australia Awards recipients participate in inclusion sessions or inclusion trainings, and that they make a commitment to contribute to inclusion when they return home. So it's twofold. One is participation, and the other one is to make sure that we pass on our knowledge and that other people start using that knowledge in their home countries. So to facilitate this, we have been very intentional in our activities and outreach. We are working with organizations for people with disabilities and women's organizations, particularly at the promotion stage. That's why we're so happy to have you on this call today, because these are one of the interventions that we've put in place so that we can make sure that people and from minority groups like people with disability or women or other groups can participate in the program and that they are able to succeed in these processes as we go along the award cycle. We have also adjusted the applications criteria. So this has been in train for the last two intake rounds, and it remains the same for this round. We will talk about that in a few slides' time. And then also we have expanded our priority areas to impact on the inclusion space as well. So in other words, we also want to train people to become specialists in the GETSI and inclusion field. Okay, next, I just want to go through our eligibility criteria. Sorry, gone back. Okay, so if I may ask that once we drop off this call, please do go to our website and take your time to read through and review the eligibility criteria so that you are very familiar with the criteria that you need to meet in order to be able to apply for the scholarships. I'm going to take 2 minutes to briefly explain some of the key criteria that you need to meet. First of all, you must be applying for a master's level scholarship, right? We do not support undergraduate degrees. We do not support postgraduate diplomas or certificates, and we also do not support PhD studies. You must be applying for a master's level scholarship, okay? You must be 25 on the 1st of February next year, so 1st of February 2027. You or your spouse may not hold or be applying for Australian citizenship, and you also cannot be serving in your military as military personnel in your home country. If you have previously received an Australia Awards scholarship, you are unfortunately not eligible to apply. However, if you have been a recipient of the Australia Awards short course or the Australia Awards fellowship program, you are eligible to apply. Okay, you must be living in Africa. There is one exception to this, Sorry, Mel, just 1 second. I think we've lost Njoki's video.
Just working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
There we go. You're back. Thanks, Njoki. Perfect. Okay, so as I was saying, you must be living in Africa. We will talk about that in detail in a moment as well. Okay, so you must be a citizen of one of the following countries to be eligible to apply. You'll forgive me, there are 25. I'm going to read them out slowly for you. So Algeria, Angola, Botswana, Cote d'Ivoire, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, Kenya, Madagascar, Malawi, Mauritius, Morocco, Mozambique, Namibia, Nigeria, Rwanda, Sierra Leone, South Africa, Tanzania, the Gambia, Uganda, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. Okay, so those are the 25 countries that are eligible for the program, and you must be living in your country of citizenship. The only exception to that rule is if you are working for an African regional organization. So, for example, if you are Mozambican and you are working for the African Union in Addis Ababa, you would still be eligible for the program. Um, or if you are on a diplomatic posting on behalf of your home country, based in another, so if you are Botswanan, but you've been posted to Fiji, you are still eligible for the program. There are no other exceptions to this rule. You either have to be living in your home country or you need to meet that exception that I've just explained. Okay? So, your academic criteria, right? You must hold an undergraduate degree, right? This, we normally say, needs to be equivalent to an Australian undergraduate degree, but I don't want you to worry too much about that. We will do that equivalency as we go through the process. But if you have an undergraduate degree in your home country, you are eligible to apply for the program. You must be working in and opting to study in one of the following 5 sectors, right? I'm going to read them out. Agriculture and food security, climate change, foreign policy and international security, gender disability and social inclusion, and mining and energy, right? So, in other words, your undergraduate degree and your work experience must be in one of these 5 sectors in order for you to be eligible for the program. We will unfortunately not consider any other sectors. So, for example, education or health, they are not an eligible sector, and we unfortunately cannot submit applications, receive applications from those sectors. Okay. Perfect. Now, I just want to talk a little bit about our English language criteria. So if you are from a non-Anglophone country, so essentially if you are from a Francophone or a Lusophone country, you will need to have evidence of your English language proficiency. I'm just going to read through the countries for a moment, so bear with me. Algeria, Angola, Cote d'Ivoire, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Guinea, Madagascar, Morocco, Mozambique, and Rwanda. So if you are from one of the countries that I have just read out, you will need to provide evidence of your English language proficiency. Okay, we only accept an IELTS test, the internet-based TOEFL test, and the PTE academic test, right? There are no other English language proficiency tests that we are able to accept. Also, just to note that the certificates must be valid on the 1st of January 2027. Okay, then just to reassess the equity of access adjustments. So earlier today, I spoke about the fact that we had adjusted our eligibility criteria to ensure as many people can participate. And so what we have done is if you are someone with a disability, you are required to have a minimum of 3 years postgraduate work experience. Now, if you are someone without a disability, that requirement is 5 years. And secondly, for those that wish to specialize in a disability rights and inclusions skills area, I must preface this by saying, having already worked or working in this field, right? And you may already be undertaking a master's degree or you already hold a master's degree, you are still eligible to apply. That was a bit of a mouthful. Let me just rephrase that for you. Okay, so if you are wanting to study in the JETSI space, right? So in a disability rights and inclusion skills area, and you are living with disability, and you may already have a master's or you may be currently studying towards a master's, you are still eligible to apply. If you are without a disability, you may not apply for the scholarship if you already hold a master's degree. I should also clarify that it is only in the JETSI space that we will consider this. So for example, if you are somebody living with disability and you already hold a master's of climate change, you are not eligible to apply for a second master's of climate change, right? You would only be eligible if you were applying in the disability rights and inclusion skills area, but you have to be working in that area to be eligible. If this is unclear, when we get to the questions and answer sessions, I will go over that again in a little bit. Okay, so we have just spoken about the eligibility criteria, right? So that means the things that you need to meet in order to submit an application. Once you've been able to submit an application, you will then need to submit a compliant application, I beg your pardon. In order to be compliant, there are certain supporting documentations that you need to submit, right? The first one is your passport. It must show evidence of your biometrics page, right? So your photo, your date of birth, where you were born, your full name, So the biometrics page of your passport, your undergraduate degree and transcript, so your degree certificate and transcript. So for many people on the call, you may have studied in a language other than English for your undergraduate degree. Please, you do not need to spend money to have that translated. Submit them in the language in which you obtained that degree, and we will do the translation on our side. You need to submit a copy of your curriculum vitae or your CV or your resume. This must be in English. Then you also need to submit 2 referee reports. The first one is your employer referee report, and your second one is an academic referee report. Now, to note that some people may be working in the private sector or a civil society organization, that may need to resign from their employment to take up that scholarship. In that instance, it may be risky for you to ask for an employee referee report from your existing employer. We understand that, and you would then need to submit a referee report from your previous employer. So you would not need to submit a referee report from your existing employer if you were concerned about your job stability by asking for that referee report. However, if you work for the public sector, you are required to submit an employee referee report from your current supervisor. And then an academic referee report. So this is a professor or a lecturer that you had at university. Now, if you like me that studied many, many, many years ago, it may be that you do not have a contact at your university anymore. In that instance, it's fine. You don't need to submit an academic referee. You could try and submit another employee referee report if you can, or alternatively, somebody with good standing in your community. So, for example, your pastor or your minister at church, your doctor, a guidance counselor, or somebody that can testify to your character and why it would be important for you to get a scholarship. Okay? A lot of people are concerned about the template or how this needs to be submitted. On our website, there is a draft template that you can use. However, if you prefer, your referee can just write a letter that you attach to your application form. So there is no formal requirement for it to be in any specific format. And then lastly, if you are from a Francophone or a Lusophone country, you would submit your evidence of your English language proficiency. All right, so now we've spoken about eligibility and we've spoken about a compliant application. So you have ticked the administrative blocks of submitting an application. But now we want to talk about what sets your application apart from the person next to you and from the other 13 or 15,000 applications that we anticipate to be receiving. So, first of all, there must be a clear link between your current work experience, your choice of course, what you intend to do when you return home, and the national development goal or vision of your country. Let me unpack that for you. So, first of all, let's use agriculture as an example, right? If you are working for your Ministry of Agriculture, we would expect that you have an undergraduate degree in agriculture. You have 3 or 5 years, depending on your personal circumstances, working in the agricultural sector, and you are looking to study a Master's of Agriculture or any masters within the agriculture sector in Australia. We know that agriculture is a key component of almost all our countries that are eligible in their national development goals or their plans in their home countries. And so therefore that example would be compliant, right? However, if you have an undergraduate degree in accounting, you have been working for a private sector hospital as an accountant, and now you want to apply, and your role is purely accounting, and now you want to apply for a Master's of Disability Studies. You would not be eligible to apply because your background is in accounting, your work experience is in accounting, and now you are wanting to study something that would essentially change your career. There is no logical progression between those examples that I've just given you. And so therefore we would consider your application, that it's not eligible because you do not have that link that I've just spoken about. Okay. Another thing that a good application has is that you have researched the course that you want to study, right? So many people do a standard Google search. I'm looking for a Masters of Climate Change in Australia, and Google brings up one university and they select that one and they put it in their application. That is insufficient, and your application will not be as good as those that ultimately receive an Australia Awards scholarship. You need to research the many, many different Masters of Climate Change options at all the different universities in Australia and identify the one that best suits your goal for when you come home. And when I say research, I mean go into the level of detail as to what units each of those courses have to offer and which one is best for you. It is so easy for us to pick up applications where people have genuinely researched the course that they would like to study and that they are able to bring it back to the skills gap that they are missing and how they're going to use that when they return home to their home country. That's a good segue into my point number 3, which is a clear demonstration of the skills and knowledge you want to learn in Australia and how you will use it when you return home. So it's very important that you identify this challenge. What is missing? What is the difficulty that I am experiencing in my current employment, in my sector, in my industry? And why would studying a specific degree in Australia help me to address that challenge when I return home? Okay. That is essentially the logic that we will use to test the quality of your application. Number 4, so engage your supervisor and make sure that the referee report is strong and supports the detail of your application. Now, again, I'll refer back to the difference between private and public sector applicants. We understand that it's not always possible for you to engage with your current employer in the private sector or in civil society. They may not necessarily be supportive of you taking 2 years to go and study in Australia. However, the same does not hold strong if you work in the public sector, right? So if you work in the public sector, we know that your ministry or your department or your agency must give you work release in order to take up this scholarship. And so therefore, you must have their support before you even apply for the scholarship. In the instance that you are working for a private or civil society organization, I think it's important that you are able to still demonstrate without seeking the support of your existing employer around how you will use these skills and knowledge in the current organization that you are working for or a potential new employer when you return home. Okay, we've spoken about a compliant application, but you need to make sure that you attach all the documentation for your application. This is critical. Otherwise, your application will not progress, right? And then lastly, we want an honest and accurate application. Do not submit false claims. Your application will be rejected. Do not use AI, ChatGPT, Copilot, or any other assistive tech like artificial intelligence to write your thoughts for you, right? So I want to be clear. We are wanting your unique application, your thoughts, your concerns, your intentions. We do not want to hear how Copilot can make Zambia a better place by you going to study in Zambia. In Australia, I beg your pardon. So it needs to be your voice, your authentic application, and it needs to be your reality, right? So you do not embellish your work responsibilities, and also do not embellish the ability to make changes when you get home. So, for example, if you said your skills gap was to implement a whole new policy in your department, if you need your minister's approval to implement that policy, so in other words, you cannot decide that this policy is going to be implemented. There is a chain of approvals and discussions that need to be happening. You cannot write in your application, well, I will implement this policy, because you do not have control over that, right? So that's what we mean about honest and accurate information. Okay, so how do you apply? So first of all, please go to our website, the Australia Awards Africa website. You can just Google Australia Awards Africa and our website will come up first. And then there is a pre-assessment checklist. This is just a very quick checklist to find out if you are actually eligible for the program. So it will ask you your age. It will ask you what sector you're wanting to apply in. It will ask you if you're working in the military. All those questions that I spoke about at the beginning of this session. And then if you are eligible, so you've answered all the questions accurately and you are eligible to apply, you will automatically be redirected to what we call the OASIS website. This is the website that will receive all of the applications, right? You will need to register your details. As soon as you've registered your details, there will be a confirmation email that is sent to your email. Go to that email and click on the link in the body of the email to verify your account. Okay. Once you've verified the account, you can then actually start completing your application form. Note, you do not have to complete the application in one sitting. You can complete 5 questions, save it, and then come back tomorrow and complete it further, right? Just make sure you save it and you don't submit an incomplete application. You will only click on submit when you have completed the whole application form and uploaded all of your documents. Okay. Once you've submitted the application form, we will go quiet on you for a little while. We have a couple of months of application processes that we go through, and potentially in about June, July of this year, you will hear back from us about the outcome of your application. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit more about our equity of access for people with disabilities, right? So as I mentioned earlier, we are committed to ensuring that equitable participation and inclusion of diverse groups. Applications are always equitably considered, right? Having a disability will not disadvantage individuals in either the application or the selection process. We encourage applications from those working with people with disabilities or in OPDs or organizations of people with disabilities or people with disabilities themselves, right? There is some support if required, and this will be provided on a case-by-case basis through the provision of reasonable adjustments and or accommodations. However, we cannot provide this support if we are not aware of some of the adjustments or accommodations that may be able to help you to apply. So we ask you to tell us if you need assistance, one, in submitting an application form, or as we progress through the selection processes, you tell us the disability that you face or the challenge that you are facing so that we can assess it and we can suggest reasonable adjustments or accommodations to help you participate in the process. So I just also want to say that we have supported several scholars with disabilities that have successfully completed their programs. And we encourage you, if you meet our eligibility, please apply because you too can also be an Australia Awards scholar. We welcome the opportunity to partner with you. On our website, we have a tab which is called the JETSI Support Hub. I encourage you to go and have a read on our website under the JETSI Support Hub about some of our alumni, some of our scholars, so that you can see some of the adjustments that we've incorporated and how we could potentially help you if you need additional assistance. Likewise, gender equality is an integral part of the Australian government's development policy, and it is a key objective for our Australia Awards Africa program. And we want to ensure equal participation and benefit to the program by both men and women. So we seek to reach as many eligible women as possible throughout the awards stages, but particularly now whilst we're promoting the awards, so that we can make as much effort as we can to redress gender disparities across the awards cycle. So there is reasonable support for women, including pregnant women and those with care responsibilities, during both the application stage, at the selection interviews, and whilst in Australia if you were successfully given a scholarship. Again, if I can refer you to the JETSI Support Hub on our website so that you can learn more about some of these accommodations and support that we can make available. I know I've just spent 2 slides talking about the adjustments or accommodations as well as the support that we have available. I should just make one clarification. The one adjustment that we cannot make is to the end date of the application process, right? So if you are interested in applying for an Australia Awards Africa scholarship, you need to act now. You need to start your application process, get your thoughts in order, register on the OASIS website, do your eligibility checks, and start with your application. All applications across the globe, so worldwide, are submitted through one software platform, OASIS, and we are not able to accept applications past the end date of the scholarships. So by the 29th of March, at the latest, you should have submitted your application. However, about 70% of all of our applications are received in that last week in April. The system is slow, the system encounters difficulties, and I would implore you, I beg you, please submit your application before then so that you do not have technical issues when submitting your application. We will not be able to accept your application if it is not submitted in OASIS by the 29th of April. The closing date is the 30th of April, but it's Australian time. So in other words, that is an earlier time for us here in Africa. And so that's why I'm saying at the latest 29th of April, but I encourage you, if you can, aim for the end of March. Make your life easier and submit your application as soon as you can. Now, if you'll give me one moment, I just want to check. I think I saw Rebecca join the call. I'm just wondering if our other alumni, if David has joined. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Hi, David. Is it David Muache from Botswana? Are you on the call?
If they can just raise a hand, there's a number of Davids, but the last name is not there.
There we go. Okay, perfect. So David is on the call. Thank you, David. And I think Rebecca is on the call as well. So if you can also just, let me get Rebecca. Give me 1 second.
Good morning.
Good morning, Rebecca. How are you?
Morning, ma.
That's good. So, Rebecca, if I may I ask you just to briefly introduce yourself to the delegates on the call? And then I have one question which I will ask you to answer for me. And so once you've done your introduction, if you can tell me, like, what advice would you give yourself as you were preparing your Australia Awards application last year? Thank you, Rebecca.
All right, thank you very much. Good morning, everyone on the call. I'm PJ Rebecca by name, and by the grace of God, I'm one among the successful applicants for the 2026 Australian Scholarship Award, and I applied to study MSc Disability Practice and Leadership at Flinders
Hi,
University.
Rebecca. Sorry to disturb you. May I ask you if you could just speak up slightly? There's a little bit of noise coming and we're struggling to hear you.
Okay, ma, is it okay now?
Yes, that's
Am I
perfect.
Okay, so I'll go over again. I said I'm EJ Rebecca. I'm saying hello to everyone on the call, and I'm one among the successful applicants of the 2026 Australian Scholarship Award. And I applied to study MSc Disability Practice and Leadership at Flinders University, Adelaide. So it's nice meeting you all here. I'm a woman with visual impairment as well. So I'm happy to be here. So taking it further, for me, what I would say here is that disability is actually not a limitation for everyone. Just like I said, I'm visually impaired and I applied for scholarship last year, and currently I'm on the
Sorry,
scholarship.
Rebecca, Jenny again. We've lost your sound a little bit again. If you can try again for me. Thank you.
All right, is it okay now?
That's good. Thank you,
Hello,
Rebecca.
can everyone?
You can go ahead, Rebecca.
Okay, so I said disability is not a limitation, neither is it a barrier in on the Australian scholarship. For me, I saw my disability as my weapon um, that earned me this scholarship. So my encouragement to everyone on the platform, especially applicants on this platform, you your disability is not to hinder you. Your disability is a weapon in your hand, just like ID for you to use, and it determines on how you use it to earn yourself victory in the field. So I was driven by my passion and strength. My experience as a woman with disability in Nigeria actually informed my essays. I used my own unique experience. Now, mind you, disability is in various types, and we might have the same disability, but our experience in terms of practicality might be different. I might have a different experience with my challenge than what you will have. So my unique self was what I called in my essays when I was writing. So I used my situation to really write my essay, how much what I faced in my own sphere of experience and interest in my place of work, in school, and everywhere I've been. That I experience actually inspired me, and I use it as a weapon to write my essays. So what you would do is, for me, if I want to encourage anyone here, your unique self is what you need. Your experience, like I said, is different from what other person will have. So be effective in what you are writing and be bold. Use your unique experience to inform what you are writing. Be real. You don't need to be general in what you are writing because that won't really earn you any space in the scholarship. It has to be what you know, how it touched you the most. You know how you feel. You know what you are currently feeling, and you know how much you want to change it to be that agent to change. So that will really help you write your essay and will stand out from what every other person with disability will write. You know, you have to be very, very real in what you are writing. So that's what helped me. And I believe if you use that, it will also help you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Rebecca. That was very inspiring, and I think again re-emphasizing your own personal experience, your unique voice, and what you want to do is the message I received from Rebecca, and I hope people take that away with them today, because that's how your scholarship application becomes a successful application. Your experience, your unique voice, and use your weapons that you have as an individual to make your application special. Okay, now I'm going to hand over to David Muatsi. David is an alumni of our program. He graduated from the University of Queensland, and he's from Botswana. So David, if I may ask you just to just introduce yourself to the call, and then my question to you is there something that makes you proud and which resulted from your Australia Awards experience? Thank you, David. I'm going to unmute you now. Mel, can you help me? I'm not entirely sure how to do that.
He will have to admit it there.
Oh, there we go.
Can you hear me?
Thank you.
Can you hear
Clearly.
me now? Okay,
Clearly.
good afternoon, everyone. My name is David Muatsi. I'm from Botswana, as mentioned. Yes, I am an Australia Awards Africa Awards alumni. I went to the University of Queensland during the COVID era, 2020 to 2021. I graduated in 2021. Just to delve into the question you asked, what is it that made me proud? First and foremost, I would like to say I feel very proud for having won the Australia Award Scholarship, and I'm proud to announce that my disability had not been a handicap for me to access the scholarship. So currently, I'm very proud that the skills that I acquired have made me to be visible within my own environment, my own country. My contributions in terms of policy inputs have been acknowledged in many aspects. I sit in the National Disability Council. I was invited to join, and I think it is because of the kind of work that I do within the disability education space, where I advocate for access to education for people with disabilities. I speak and ask those that have the ability to change policies to consider the existing policies so that they make them accessible. And I'm very proud because had I not been to Australia to expand my sphere of knowledge, some other things I wouldn't be able to know how to approach things to influence policy change. So I'm very proud for that opportunity, despite the fact that I did all my education in Australia and I understood what it means to advocate for yourself and others, and so to a place where the policies are made such that each person is allowed to participate in the socio-economic spectrum in their own space. And therefore, this is what I'm doing currently. I work for a non-governmental organization, and every now and then when I have an opportunity to speak and influence for a policy change, I do so without any reservation. And I think that boldness comes from having acquired skills and knowledge and understanding on how to advocate and how to approach things without necessarily being competent, but asking people to have a listening ear in order to make things better for others. So these are some of the things that I'm very proud of, and I would urge everyone who has intentions or interest to apply for the scholarship to look at what the scholarship needs and to have an understanding of their own country's policies and future directions, so that the skills that they would acquire if they were to uh, win the scholarship, they will come back and implement in their own backyard. So this is the thing that and they should research, like it was mentioned during the discussion. Take your time, look into what programs are offered by different universities in Australia, and also look at what your country is looking for. And I think that would serve you well. Thank you.
David, thank you very, very much to both you and Rebecca for taking the time to talk with us today. And I think real life examples give others the courage to know that they can apply, they will be supported, and that you can make a success of this scholarship program. We've come to the top of the hour and technically the end of our webinar schedule. I do just want to reiterate one extra point, and then I'm going to take two questions. I'm sorry, I'm sure a lot of people have questions, but I will take the first two questions, and then I would also just let everybody know that in a few weeks' time, I think it's, I'm not sure the exact date. I'll need to just check this up, but we are having a full question and answer session, right? So you can join that session and there will be no presentation. It will just be myself and the awards team answering your questions, okay? It's just we don't have the time at the moment to answer all the questions. I will say we'll answer as many questions as we can up until 10 past the hour, so for the next 10 minutes. I also just wanted to clarify that if some of you are already hold a master's degree and you go onto our website to apply for the scholarship and you do that pre-assessment checklist, it may stop you from progressing your application, right? Because if you are somebody who is not living with a disability, you are not allowed to hold a master's degree, right? So the checklist is set up to answer that question in a specific way. So just if you use the following link, and I'm going to read it out, it's https oasis.dfat.gov.au. You will automatically be directed to the application form and you can just directly submit your application. If you encounter any difficulties with this, please just go to our, you can email our inquiries or you can email our JETSI email address and let them know and we will talk you through that process. Okay, so 8 minutes left. William Kamoli, may I ask for you to ask your question? William, you will need to unmute yourself and ask the question. Okay,
Hi.
William?
Can you
Hi.
hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you clearly. Go ahead. William? Give me 1 second. We've lost William. Hold on for me. Oh, I think he's dropped off the call. Can that
yeah,
be?
he dropped us.
Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. All right, Colin. Mweni Chanya, forgive me if I have mispronounced your surname, but Colin, I'm going to, may you unmute yourself and you can ask your question, please, Colin. Go ahead, Colin.
Hello, are you able to hear me?
Yes, clearly.
Okay, thank you so much. I am Colin Mwenechanya.
Yes.
I'm working under VDPP Chambers, Minister of
Yes.
Justice.
Yes.
I have I'm a lawyer by profession.
Yes.
I hold a bachelor's degree in law.
Yes.
However, I have fallen in love with one of your courses, foreign policy and international security. I just want to know, am I qualifying to apply for the course?
Remind me again the position that you hold in your organization.
Principal state advocate.
Okay.
I'm a prosecutor. Yes. I'm a prosecutor. Yes.
Okay. So, Colin,
yes.
Are you currently, so let me just scroll back to the screen. Sorry, give me 1 second. Are you currently working in anything related to foreign policy and international security? Like,
okay, we handle a number of cases which relate to foreign policies. You know, issues of to do with money laundering. Yes, are supposed to be regulated by the law as well as government policies. So, at least, issue.
Okay, so my answer would initially be yes, provided you can demonstrate in your application form how this fits, right? So you can see off the top, like off the top of the bat is a little bit of a stretch because you are a lawyer by trade, right?
Yes.
So when you write your statement of intent, you need to demonstrate the work that you are doing in this sector and why you need to do that master's and what you're going to do like when you come back, right?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
But from your experiences, you know, do I really qualify? I just like the course so much. I've fallen in love with that particular course.
So from my experience, if you have the own work experience, right? So
Yes.
if you have exposure, when I mean exposure, I mean 5 years of exposure to that sector, right? Then yes, it links, but your application needs to be strategic. You need to think about it and you need to demonstrate it for those that read your application.
Okay.
All right.
I really appreciate. I will try. I will do everything.
Perfect. Thank you. Thanks, Colin. Kandile Butana, I'm going to give you access. Give me 1 second. Okay, Tandile, you can go ahead if you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Thank you so much. I'm Tandile Putana. I'm in South Africa. I'm just checking with you. I did apply last year for 2026. Unfortunately, my application was not successful. But unfortunately, it does not say why was it not successful. If one would know, so that when I apply this year, I don't do the same mistake that I did last year.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Tandile. Thank you for your question. Look, my answer would be threefold, right? There are only 3 reasons why your application would ever be unsuccessful. The first one is you are ineligible, right? So in the beginning, I went through those 4 slides around the eligibility. If you were applying for the wrong course, so say, for example, if you were applying for a Master's of Education or a Master's of Health, they are not in the correct priority sector. Your application would be in it. There are 12 eligibility criteria in totality. Your age, your work experience, all of those criteria I mentioned at the beginning of the call. So if you did not meet one of those 12 criteria, you are ineligible and your application would not progress.
And I met all of them.
Okay. Then secondly, was your application compliant? Did you submit every single document that was required as part of the application? On the assumption that you did, the only other assessment...
What I think I may have not submitted, I think you mentioned, because the reference letter that was there was from my employer. I did not have one from the university because I think it said only those who will be doing PhD or whatever that must submit something from the academic institution.
No, it's different. And the document for those that are doing a master's by research requires a little bit more from an academic supervisor, but that is not the case for the master's degrees. It's just a reference from your academic, from somebody at your university, or like I clarified earlier today, somebody with good standing in your community.
That's the last one that thing I did not submit. I did submit the one from my employer. Okay.
Okay. All right. And then, Tandile, the last thing is you have submitted an application that has not clearly demonstrated, when I say you, an individual, not you specifically, is the link, right? Remember, we spoke about the 6 criteria, like where your current work experience is linked to your undergraduate degree, is linked to what you want to study in Australia. And then very critically, and this is where I think almost all applications fall over, is what is that skills gap that you need, right? It's not just a master's, right? So many people say, well, I need to go and get a master's in Australia. No, we are so deeper into the content of your process here. We are talking about, if you are an engineer, we are talking about the geotechnical, I'm making up words here, but I'm saying we are at the unit level of studies in Australia, along with the technical aspects of your current employment that is lacking, right? It's not just a general, I need a master's degree. It is, I am lacking skills in, like Colin spoke earlier about, international security and money laundering, and because this country's people are coming into my country and this dollar is doing that, to that level of detail is what we are looking for, right? And then we are looking for, what are you going to do with those skills, right? So there are so many people that apply for this scholarship. In order for us to narrow it down to those that are going to be successful, we need to be able to, in a way, quantify who is going to have the biggest development impact in these application forms. And when I say the biggest development impact, I'm not meaning the person that's going to solve world peace, right?
Yes.
We are talking about the national development plans of your individual countries. And if we are talking about agriculture, for example, in South Africa, we know foot and mouth is rampant. It is an immediate and distressing issue in our country, right? Somebody that is able to say, look, I know I'm going for 2 years, but we need to stop this from becoming another pandemic or epidemic in our country, and how I'm going to do that, versus somebody that says, I'm going to solve world peace, right? You understand the difference of what I'm trying to portray here and the level at which we assess those applications. So follow that cycle. What was my undergraduate? Where's my work experience? What do I want to study? Why do I want to study it? And how will I use it when I get back? With your authentic voice that Rebecca was talking about, your personal experience and your personal intentions in order to submit a good application.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, although I'm not really sure what did I lack, but I'll try again, and I
Thanks,
hope I
Tandile.
make it this year.
Thank you very much. Okay, I'm going to take one more question because I'm conscious we're already 12 minutes past. Levinus Ike, may I ask if you can unmute yourself and you can ask your question, and then we'll close up for the day. Levinus, can you hear me?
Yes, thank you for the meeting. Thank you for everything you said. You were very clear on what you were saying. I wanted to ask, because when I first saw the scholarship, I saw openings for undergraduates and up to PhD. So I want to confirm if those openings are still available. And also, secondly, for someone who does not, who really did not finish school or get his certificate from school because of one or two complications, can they also apply for the fully funded scholarship? Is there a chance for them?
Okay.
Thanks,
Levinus. So the Australia Awards Africa Scholarship, the scholarship that we have on offer, is only available at master's level. We do not offer scholarships at undergraduate level, and we do not offer scholarships at PhD level at this point in time. So unfortunately, the answer to both of your questions is no. You must hold an undergraduate degree, and you must be wanting to apply for a master's degree in order to be eligible for the program. Okay. Okay, everybody. I'm really sorry that we are not able to answer all of your questions. I'm going to ask Melvin to type in the chat box our Jetsy email address, right? If you can send us an email with your inquiry, that would be wonderful. And Mel's already done it, so forgive me. I'm going to read it out quite quickly. It is Jetsy. So GEDSI at AustraliaAwardsAfrica.org. Okay, where Australia Awards Africa is all one word. Please send us an email and let us reply to you via email to answer your questions. alternatively, we ask you, we will be having, give me 1 second. I just want to put up the dates. Hold on for me 1 second. Okay, our next on the there we go. Where am I? On the 9th of March, we will be hosting another webinar for gender equality and support to female scholars. And then on the 23rd of March, we will be holding a webinar, which is questions and answers only. So you will hear my voice, but I will just be answering questions. We will not do a presentation. And so we can answer any questions that you may have that we didn't answer today or that we haven't replied on our Jetsy email address. With that, I would like to thank Njoki for interpreting for us today and for being patient with me while I talk so much. And I want to thank everybody on the call for joining us. I hope that you will submit an application. I hope that you've heard our guidance, and we look forward to receiving those applications. I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I will end the event in a moment. So thank you very much to everybody who joined the call, and hope to hear from you soon. Thank you.